Good evening. Is there anybody out there at the moment? Or is everybody still out enjoying the sunshine? Hi Kitty. Hi Jennifer. Ah. Hi Diana. Oh, must be everybody from the States today. We've actually got some really good weather over here in the UK at the minute. Pretty much most of the UK's had blue skies and sunshine, which makes a change. I'll just give it another minute or two. Hi Alison. Right, so for those of you that are making along, must be a couple of weeks ago now, we did our covers and we used the Tyvek attached to some white card to strengthen the hinges to make sure they didn't crack and split when we actually fold. And I've been really good and I've not folded it yet, which is extremely unusual for me. So there we go. So tonight what we're going to do, just move my keyboard out of the way, we're going to look at making the hinges and putting them in. Now because I've done Tyvek here, what I could do is just get sort of a decent weight white cardstock, bit heavier than paper, obviously not card, just to cover the edges. Now I've just gone to get my white printer paper out and realised that when I knocked the glass over the other week and thought I'd caught it all, I didn't, and it's leaked, so all my white printer paper has now got brown streaks on it. So what I'm going to do is use the white bookbinding tape. Okay, so just measure that across. Now if you're really clever, you can use the bookbinding tape in one go and put it all the way around your covers. I have done it that way, but I tend to get in a mess with the peel off wasty bit, so I tend to do it as 4 separate sides. Okay, hi David. Pre-dinner drop-in. Oh, nice. I've just had mine. So if it's a pre-dinner drop-in, David, does that mean somebody else is cooking it for you while you're on here? And if so, how do I get their number to come and do mine for me? So, hi Helen. Oh, don't worry. It won't be long before your boys say, Mum, we don't want you with us. Enjoy it while it lasts. Hi Wendy, are you still enjoying the sunshine in Wales? So I'm just going to cut a little corner like that at each end. Straighten that up. So this just folds over nicely. As I say, if I'd have had white paper, I would have done that, but yeah, I'm not using white paper. Hi Lorraine. How would Facebook chucked you out? That's no good. Have you said something to upset the great gods of Facebook? Because they're being a bit iffy at the minute. I know a friend got chucked off her own page yesterday. Not quite sure why. So, snip off that corner and fold that round like that. And I'm just going to put that in there. I know I have a friend who is doing a networkathon, I think that's how you say it, on Facebook at the minute. And maybe it was me being not quite with it, but I thought it was just certain hours over a 24-hour period. But no, it started at midnight last night and they're going on till midnight tonight. And I've popped in and out. But there's one girl who at 4:30 this afternoon had been on continually since midnight last night. And I thought by that time I would have been fast asleep. And yeah, it would probably have chucked me off by then as well. Not quite level at each end, but... just fold those corners over. Scissors are a bit big for that, but ooh, missed. So, has anybody been up to anything really exciting over the weekend? Other than upsetting Facebook? So I'm just doing this so that you don't get the raw chipboard edges on the book. With some patterned papers, you can actually just use the patterned paper and wrap it round the edges. But I'm sure a lot of you know, I'm using the Minte papers and they are really, really thick. Now, unfortunately, that's a great thing, but it means they're not great for bending and folding, and I didn't want them to rip, which is why I've gone with covering the edges like this. That one. Helen. Wow, Oliver's finally got his provisional. How many months has that taken? That's ridiculous. But at least he'll be able to take himself places now. So you will be able to get out and enjoy yourself instead of being chauffeur for the boys. Oh, good grief. Rode your new e-trike and didn't... That's always a good move, that, Diana. Facebook is having a bit of an issue at the moment. I know a few people yesterday have said that it's not playing nice, shall we put it. Excuse me. So there we have our book. It's all edged so that we don't have to wrap the Minte papers around, because it will crack, because it is really, really strong papers. So I'm just going to put that there, and we're going to make our hinges. Oh, that sounds interesting, Lorraine. South Suffolk country show. I've not been to a country show for years. There isn't that many around Manchester, but they do have some occasionally. So for your hinges, you need a piece of card that is 11 inches long. I'll just trim that down. And 8 inches wide. So move my trimmer. And get the old scoreboard out. It is looking a bit, needs a clean. So, not showing on there yet. So on your scoreboard for your hinges, so we're scoring on the long side, which is the 11-inch side, at 3 inches. Three and a half. Three and a half. 4.4. 4 and a half. 5. 5 and a half. 6. 6 and a half. 7. 7 and a half. 8 and 8 and a half. Okay, just move the scoreboard out of the way. So the two doesn't show very well, just about see the creases there, but the two end pieces are where we're going to actually stick it to the book. Put that down, the ring light won't, that's better. So if we fold that one up, you've then got an inch gap. My brain's gone at making hinges, yeah. And then we fold it over there. And you have another hinge. Fold that over. I think most of you know how to make your hinges. So we've got 4 pages, and there we have 4 hinges that will sit just inside our cover. So what I'm going to do, and although I do use glue, just buried it, to stick my hinges. I do use a small amount of double-sided tape just to hold it till the glue grabs. Okay, so we'll take the glue out. Take the lid. Pop a bit of glue on. Well, it's coming out in blobby. And then we just fold that over. Push that down. And we do that for each of the flaps. So make sure you've got plenty of glue on, although not quite that much. Fold it over, push it down and burnish it. And you'll see, put too much glue in, it oozes out of the ends. Yeah, we don't put that much glue on, do we, Helen? And we don't squeeze glues too hard. Otherwise you can end up with an unfortunate accident. So, fold it over. Burnish it down and give it a good squidge down. And I like this because if you give you Lorraine, yeah, the lid came off. Ask Helen what she does with her glue when she's trying to decant it all into one bottle. I think we all got covered in it. Okay. So again, pop the glue on. Fold that over and just push that down. And burnish that all the way up and down. So that when you turn that over, just fold the hinges all the other way. And give them all a good burnish so that they do. Yeah, I was a lot further away this time, Helen. So now before we do anything, let me put the lid on the glue. Before we put that into our book, I'm just gonna mitre the corners to fit our pages on. So just cutting those edges off so you've got a little bit of an angle to be able to just slip your page over the top. Now, I'm going to glue this into the book, but what I'm going to do, whoops, is just with a ball tool or pokey tool, just something just to rub down where the gaps are, so you know you don't put any glue in there. So what I'm going to do again is just put some double-sided down to hold it until the glue sets. Just to stop it moving while we're trying to get everything in place. And then on the back of here, I'm just going to run it on just in a couple of places, just so that holds until the glue sets. The reason I put tape on as well as the glue is there have been instances where you put it down, you push it all in, you get up and walk away and realise that when you come back it's moved slightly and your hinge isn't central. So I've done the pages just short of about 1/4 of an inch shorter. So the covers are 8 1/4 and the paper is 8, which just gives you a little bit of a reveal top and bottom. And once these are stuck down, we'll be able to put our pages on. Okay, so I'm just gonna remove these bits of tape. Does seem a bit of a, I guess, a bit of a waste using tape and glue, but if you use tape on its own, it sometimes can dry out, which can lead to things falling off. But like I say, if you use glue on its own, then it can move before it's completely settled. So, oops. There we go. So if I just pop some glue along here, and I'm just going to run it around the edge of the cardstock. And then line that up approximately centrally. There you go. I'll put too much glue on the other side. Flip that round. There we go. And just burnish that down. So if you make sure you rub that down in between all your flaps. And along there. So that's how you put your hinges in, and then just very gently you can just feel where the crease is, or if you get a large ball tool, you can just, you know where your creases are because you can see them. If you just run up your crease with a large ball tool, obviously don't use this one for trying to score to fold your paper, because you get a massive score line and it could end up anywhere. But once you've done that a couple of times, it will fold really neatly. You give those gussets a good rub, Lorraine. Put that one away. So now we've done that, I've got my white over my edges. So I now need to put my front page on. Now, if you remember the very first week, I said about if you've got paper and you're not sure which, which piece of the paper to use, if you get a 12 by 12 piece of card, cut an 8-inch square out of the middle, you can then move that around your piece of paper. Say, oh, do I want that corner? I quite like that corner actually. Do I want that corner, or do I want that corner? Do you want the bit right in the middle? It's entirely up to you, but I think I'm going to go this time with that top corner there. You've got some of the hills, you've got your seagull and some flowers, and you've got the sea. So get my trimmer out. So So I know we want it 8 inches squared. So just line that up. Now I want to cut here, but if I want 8 inches on this side, I know that this side of the cut will be 4, should be 4. So if I move that along and place the edge of the paper at the 4-inch mark and cut across that way, then if I want to reuse that piece, I can either use the long piece there or the tall piece. So just gives you a little bit more options later. Trimmer out of the way, then I don't drop it. So I'll get my ink pad and the ink. So yeah, do many of you use a self-healing cutting mat, or do you prefer a glass cutting mat? Had a conversation about this on Saturday, didn't we, Helen? I like the self-healing cutting mats, but I find it easier to cut with a knife on glass. I don't know, what's everybody's thoughts on that? Although on the self-healing cutting mats, your ink pads don't move as much. So just ink your edges up. Oops. Like that. And that will just sit on the front of your book with a small reveal on there. So let's get the glue. There we go. Make sure it's the right way up. So just pop your paper on, centre it as well as you can. Just make sure you've got it straight. And that's the front of your book covered. Now, quite like, trim that down, we'll use that for there. So although I did save it for something in particular, I've decided that I'm just going to use it anyway. I'll do it on that one. Put it through the right way. Something underneath it there. So probably need to just trim that down slightly. So that's 3.5. So if I go to 3 3/8, I'm just going to trim a little bit off the length as well. So just going to ink the edges again. Can have a quick read. Evening, Sadie. Has Emmerdale finished? Is that why you've popped in? And then pop your glue on the back. Just, you'll be pleased when the new times come out in the new year. Make sure it's central. There we go. Why? Obviously Sadie doesn't watch this morning. So whoops. Now we come to our papers, and I know I said last week I'd finished decorating them all, but I haven't. I was going to do it on a rainy day and we've not had any. So I've still got a couple of bits just to decorate. But before I do that, what I'm going to do is find the hole. I'm going to work from the back. So where is it? There we go. I'm going to pop my glue. Are they putting Emmerdale and Oz? Oh, sorry Lorraine, no, but apparently according to the latest blurb that hubby read, Emmerdale and Coronation Street are going to be reduced to half an hour a week, half an hour a day I should say, and one will be on at 8 o'clock and one on at 8:30. So you only have an hour to avoid the TV if you don't like soaps. So just slid that over. Make sure it's straight. Okay, flip it over that way. Clean up the glue that was oozing out the other side, and there we go. Yeah, I think it's January they're all swapping over. So again, just pop your glue on the back of each side. Slide that over the top, hold that in place, and then just burnish that down on both sides. It's the most excitement you've had all week, isn't it, Sadie? Soaps changing their hours. But at least Helen will be able to get back and have a tea after sorting the boys out at lacrosse. Be able to get back and have a tea after sorting the boys out at lacrosse. And I've been that busy talking, I've put the wrong page in the wrong order. So we'll put that one back on there. And then that one where it should have gone. That's what happens when you put them down in the wrong order. It is not upside down. Making me double check. So I'll just push those in place. and squidge your glue out, and on the other side and then open up your flap just to slide that over and pop that down, but make sure you hold it firm until the glue sticks. So there are your pages into your book. So now we've got our pockets on the inside covers. So we need to cut one at 9.5. No, we don't. We cut it at 9 by 3.5 inches. Move your ink pad out the way, otherwise you'll end up dropping it and it'll then be everywhere. So 3.5 inches by 9. We also want one for the back cover, so we'll do that while I'm at it. Okay, so simple pockets, as simple as pockets can be. On your long 9-inch side, score it at 1/2 inch and at 8.5 inches. See, Zadie, turn it round to the 3.5 inch side and score at 1/2 inch again. So it makes, if you can see it, a wonky U-shaped pocket. And again at 1/2 inch and at 8.5 inches, and score at 1/2 inch on the 3.5 inch side. Then I'm going to mitre the corners. Whoops. On both pockets. And throw those bits in the bin. Then fold them over and burnish them down, and that's on all 3 sides. Give it a good rub down. Sadie's gone now, we can say that without being in trouble. So just fold that over, give it a really good burnish down, and again. So your pockets, whoops, on the inside front cover is going to sit just at the bottom there. Now I'll do this when you're putting, if you're putting paper on, if you put your paper on first, you're going to use an 8 by 8 inch piece of paper, but then pretty much the bottom 3 inches is going to be covered up by your pocket. By putting your pocket on first, it means that when you get your paper you can just slide it inside so you're not wasting a lot of your patterned paper. Probably isn't an issue with this kit because there is loads of papers in it. 2 12 by 12 packs and a 6 by 6. Couldn't think what size it was then. So just pop that down. Make sure it's level and just burnish that down in place. Then if we turn that over to the back, this pocket again we're going to attach to the right hand side of the book again, so you don't need a full 8-inch width of paper. Oops. Pop your glue on and then just get that level, and then once it's level, burnish it down so that glue is completely stuck between your cover and your pocket. Okay, so just knock my glue over. So that's that. So what we're going to do now is look at how I look at what bits need covering. So obviously that it could do with a tall piece of paper or a tall pattern. Now I had a piece for this. That's where I'm going. Sorry, I did have a plan for what I was cutting out and putting where, but I changed my mind, which is never a good move. So this is going to cover this pocket at the bottom. So I'm just going to line it up, might have that side. Line that up and just put a little pencil mark where I want to cut that off. Clean up on aisle, yeah, definitely clean up on aisle 3. So move that across. And do that. Now the reason I do it this way rather than, I know that that was a 9-inch piece of card. Minus ½ inch on each end before you fold it in. So theoretically that should be 8 inches minus a bit, just to give a bit of reveal. But oh, it has actually worked out dead on 8 inches. Sometimes the width of your the width of your embossing tool can make it so it's not exactly the right width. And after having cut so much pet card and paper and then had to change it because it wasn't the right width, I've started doing it this way, so I know that that's going to fit. So again, pencil mark, make sure your paper's straight, and then that will fit just on there. And it's actually worked out really well with the door frame just in there, which, if I'm being honest, wasn't planned. So pop the glue on the back. How does everybody else decide which bits of paper they're using on which bits of their book? Anyone have a plan? And those of you that do have a plan, do you stick to it? we've got here. So on the back here, that strip, which is the bottom that I've just trimmed off, would actually be, trim it down, would fit either front or back of the, between the pages and the back cover. So I'm going to trim this down to, whoops, 8 by 8 or just under. Move that out of the way. Just get that. So if I line that up on my pocket and just mark off where I need to trim it to leave a little bit of a reveal around the pocket. Okay. Yeah, make sure you've got it the right way up. And pop that on your pocket, just wiggle it a bit till it's straight, and then the piece that you're left with will just slide in you don't want it in the crease, otherwise it'll get creased. So just ink your edges. I don't bother inking this edge. It's going to be in the pocket. Nobody can see it. So could put that down to don't waste time doing things that are not going to be seen, or don't waste your ink. Whichever. So just pop that on. Slide that into your pocket and then just line it up. And make sure you burnish that down. Like that. Okay. So I'll leave it there for now. Just do one more week on it and we'll go about covering everything else. All your pieces in between. Making sure all your photo mats are cut out. Where you're decorating those, and how to use the ephemera die cuts, whatever you call them. Now in this collection, as well as your ephemera pieces, boats, flowers, you also get this pack which give you little tags there, and you get ticket type shapes, circly bits and envelopes. So some of these actually fit in. So we'll go through those next week and we'll finish off and we'll make sure it's all stuck down, decorated, papers in the right places, make sure all the photo mats are cut and where they go and how many photo mats you need, and then spend the time cutting these up. And then the week after, which I think is still May, I will be starting on this book, which is the next book we're going to do. And this is a paper bag book. So if I just undo it, undo the ribbon and open it out, you'll be able to, I hope you can see, these are just regular paper bags that you can get from supermarkets to put your mushrooms in. But it does give quite a lot of places to put your photographs, journaling, little pockets, put photo mats in there, and there's a secret hidden, oh yeah, it's there, and these little things that we can put in to do that. So if anybody wants any, I do still have a few kits left in the shop. I'll pop the details in the comments because I haven't got anybody that'll write it for me. So that's not next week, the week after, but it is a really cute little book and it's very springy like and nice fresh colours. Okay, so I hope you've all enjoyed that. I'll see you next week and have a good weekend and enjoy the sunshine wherever you are. Speak to you soon. Bye.